welfare, stupid, lazy, incompetent people. What's wrong with them? Uneducated, unschooled. What's wrong with them? They're defective people. So they deserve to be oppressed, subjugated, cheated out of a living wage where they can live a middle class life and be a homeowner like they used to on a federal minimum wage income in America. Anywhere you wanted to live. That was a standard of living you had been promised and had been maintained till JFK was murdered when he was getting rid of the Federal Reserve. And now we're in debt to him to what, close to $30 trillion from what I understand. And that's all on the backs of the poor because look at all the well-heeled people. They're getting more well-heeled every day. Certainly, they're not the ones paying that debt. They're not paying the interest on that principal, are they? You know what's falling on? It's falling on the backs of the poorest of poor. It's the normalization of slavery, currency debasement, cost of living inflation, watering down the money so it goes further. They don't care. The evil men don't care because they just pay. Well, I'll take 10 times. I debase the money by 10%. I'm taking 200%, 500, whatever. I control it. I take as much as I want. I mean, if you control the issuance of currency, you know, what's a billionaire to you? You're a freaking infinite heir, right? I mean, aren't you? And that's the spirit of Satan, these people that love their lives in this world. They love money. They don't want to hear some clown like me telling you, hey, we got to learn, you know, we got to wean ourselves off this crap. We're in a lot of trouble. We could have done it gently, slowly, gradually over time through supply and demand principles, through enforcing true capitalism. No, they want crony capitalism. They want to cheat you. They want to enslave a huge swath of the population, a permanent underclass that's lost all hope. I mean, you could put a bullet in your brain if you want to do that, but we're going to keep shipping in young, strong immigrants. And if you're sour and you don't like your lot, getting food stamps and working full-time on a minimum wage job, then we don't care because these people are grateful. We're bringing them in. They're hungry men, and they're glad to be in America, the land of opportunity, a land of immigrants. Freedom and liberty for all. So shut up. Shut up. Stop down talking money. Oh, I get it. I get why a lot of people are going to be traumatized when God's will is eventually imposed. That's the return of Christ. There's no more standing against his will being realized, actualized, accomplished, implemented upon this planet. Yes, this earth is reclaimed at the renewal of all things when even death is swallowed up in victory. That's where that whole rapture thing comes from. See, in the Bible it says the body is changed in the twinkling of an eye. There'll be a whole generation alive, and their body will make a transition from carnal, physical meat body to this vastly better body, and retaining your five senses. That's pretty cool. That's what we want, right? Because we like having our five senses. It's pretty great, huh? All right, friends, I'm on to some recent current events and other talking points. I'm going to try to talk fast. You know, I was talking about PTSD, and I want to continue with this theme about, you know, childhood PTSD. I think when a child first understands about this thing we call death, that's traumatic. Because, you know, they start pondering, well, that's the implications, right? From a very young age. We don't like it. We don't like the idea of a brother or sister or a mom or a dad dying, you know, from a very young age, or ourselves for that matter. And, you know, that causes this PTSD. So we've got PTSD is like in our veins, in our genes, in our DNA. And this, again, all stems from the original sin. We wouldn't have to deal with death, okay, if we didn't have this fall and we didn't disobey the one thing God said don't do. You know, we did it. We had this free will choice, which was unique from all the other creatures, being made in the image and likeness of God. On other planets, perhaps there's other couples that pass the test. For whatever reason, we ate. and we both ate. The man and the woman both ate. And, this has got what got us in a lot of trouble with God. He was sorry he created us. And that does cause a lot of pain for us. The idea that we hurt God, that's the footing our relationship got off on. And that it required this amazing grace and redemptive power of God to send his son Jesus Christ eventually to redeem the world and tell him, look, you're all forgiven. I've paid with the blood of my son. He was willing to do this, so he's got all power and authority on earth. And he doesn't get better than Christ. So you don't want to reject this one. You want to accept this one. This is the real deal. It doesn't get better than that. But after I talked recently, I was running a PTSD. I remember I laid down a motorcycle once. I used to ride street bikes quite a bit, big bikes they call them. But I remember I was riding with a friend behind me, and I was riding with one hand, but I hit a root in the road. They grow up sometimes, and there's a bump you might not see, and the handlebars flipped out of my hand. I laid the bike down. There was oncoming traffic. I mean, my life flashed before my eyes then. I had repeated incidents of PTSD type trauma. And I think all of us have been through more trauma than we want to remember. But if you think about it, you've been traumatized when that adrenaline pumps, your heart pumps. It's traumatic. You were traumatized. On warfare, and all this, we got to remember that, when the hearts and minds of the American troops are into what they're doing, World War II, for example, the whole rest of the world is grateful to the Yanks, to the Americans, for whooping Hitler's behind. And we did, and we'll do that. But you better make damn sure their hearts and minds are into the task, because if they're not, we're going to lose. And they prove they're willing to lose too if, they don't believe in the cause. So tread lightly, evildoers, evil men. This the tightrope they know they have to watch with the troops, because these aren't stupid people. Very good, decent, valiant men and women in the armed forces and in law enforcement. While the soldiers won't go to war they don't believe in, you can expect law enforcement, the good ones out there, which is the vast majority, they're not going to enforce rules they don't believe. I mean, for all the evil men could say, we want to start allowing children to be barbecued on, like Alex Jones used to say, on the White House lawn, And law enforcement, we're not going to tolerate that. I don't care if you say that's legal now. They're not going to tolerate it. Simple as that. And the evil men know that. They're walking that tightrope. When it comes to driving, try to remember that you want to drive in a way that you can live with, because you could run over and kill somebody, just not on drugs or alcohol or anything, just from not being careful enough. You don't know how many accidents I could have been in. That wouldn't have been my fault, because I'm a defensive driver. I wasn't in those accidents. How many pedestrians I've narrowly avoided hitting, or bicyclists. Oh my God, in all my driving, a lot. So just drive in a way that you can live with, because you don't want to, in hindsight, say, oh my God, I wish I'd been just a little more careful, and maybe this wouldn't happen. I wouldn't have maimed or killed this person. A lot of people are living with this crap, man. That's a heavy trip. It is. Driving's a heavy trip. If you don't want to hurt anybody like me, then you get more and more careful as you get older. You figured out I value life more and more and more, not just others, but my own. It kind of goes together like that. So be careful, be good drivers best you can. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't had my share of speeding tickets. Believe me, I've been pulled over more than once. Let's put it that way. In this business of financial freedom, listen, if we're going to mandate or, make people work, let's do it when they're older. It's when you're young and vital. That's especially when we ought to make sure, man, you leave home, you're rich. Okay, have fun. This would be the best way to go. 0 to 40, you're young. 40 to 80, you're middle-aged. From 80 to 120, you get to call yourself old, like fine wine. Okay, friends? So, let's think differently. Let's try to think the way God does. Let's free people. It's easier to get in a routine when you're older and you want to be appreciated more. You want to be useful and productive. You want something to do. So let the young people be free. 0 to 40, total freedom. And then you're encouraged to go out there and see if you can contribute in some way. Well, friends, I got to leave it there. Best to everybody. Have a great day. Have a great eternity. Even the evil men will live forever, but we're going to be separated.